By the time I make it back to the fence that surrounds District 12, the sun is well up. As always, I listen for a moment, but there's no telltale hum of the electric current running through the chain link. There's hardly ever is, even though the thing is supposed to be charged full time. I wriggle through the opening at the bottom of the fence and come up in the meadow. Just a stone's throw from my home, my old home. We still get to keep it since officially it's designated dwelling of my mother and sister. If I should drop dead right now, they would have to return to it. But at present, they're both happily installed in the new house in Victor's village, and I'm the only one who uses the squat little place where I was raised. To me, it's my real home. I go there now to switch my clothes, exchange my father's old leather jacket for a fine wool coat that always seems too tight in the shoulders. Leave my soft, worn hunting boots for a pair of expensive, machine-made shoes that my mother thinks are more appropriate for someone of my status. I've already stowed my bow and arrows in the hollow log in the woods. Although time is ticking away, I allow myself a few minutes in the kitchen. It has an abandoned quality, with no fire on the hearth, no cloth on the table. I mourn my old life here. We barely scraped by, but I knew where I fit in. I knew what my place was in the tightly interwoven fabric that was our life. I wish I could go back to it because, in retrospect, it seems so secure compared with now, when I'm so rich, so famous, and so hated by authorities in the capital. A wailing at the back door demands my attention. I open it to find Buttercup, Prim's scruffy old tomcat. He dislikes the new house almost as much as I do, but always leaves it when my sister's at school. We've never been particularly fond of each other, but now we have this new bond. I let him in and feed him a chunk of beaver fat, and even rub him between the ears for a bit. You're hideous, you know. Right? I ask him. Buttercup nudges my hand for more petting, but we have to go. Come on, you. I scoop him up with one hand, grab my game bag with the other, and haul them both onto the street. The cat springs free and disappears under the bush. The shoes pinch my toes as I crunch along the cinder street. Cutting down the alleys and through backyards gets me to Gail's house in minutes. His mother, Hazel, sees me through the window where she's bent over the kitchen sink. She dries her hands on her apron and disappears to meet me at the door. I like Hazel. I respect her. The explosion that killed my father took out her husband as well, leaving her with 3 boys and a baby due any day. Less than a week after she gave birth, she was out hunting the streets for work. The mines weren't an option, what with a baby to look after, but she managed to get laundry from some of the merchants in town. At 14, Gail, the oldest of the kids, became the main supporter of his family. He was already signed up for the tesserae, which entitled them to a meager supply of grain and oil in exchange for his entering his name extra times in the drawing to become a tribute. On top of that, even back then, he was a skilled trapper. But it wasn't enough to keep his family of 5 without Hazel working her fingers to the bone on that washboard. In the winter, her hands got so red and cracked, they'd bleed at the slightest provocation. Still would if it wasn't for the salve my mother concocted. But they're determined, Hazel and Gail and the other boys, 12-year-old Rory, 10-year-old Vic, and the baby, 4-year-old Posey. We'll never have to sign up for a tesserae. Hazel smiles when she sees the game. She takes the beaver by the tail, feeling its weight. He's going to make a nice stew. Unlike Gail, she has no problem with our hunting arrangement. Good pelt, too, I answer. It's comforting here with Hazel, weighing the merits of the game, just as we always have. She pours me a mug of herbal tea, which I wrap my chilled fingers around gratefully. You know, when I get back from tour, I was thinking maybe I'd take Rory out with me sometime. After school, teach him to shoot. Hazel nods. That'd be good. Gail means to, but he's only got his Sundays, and I think he likes saving those for you. I can't stop the redness that floods my cheeks. It's stupid, of course. Hardly anybody knows me better than Hazel, knows the bond I share with Gail. I'm sure plenty of people assumed we'd eventually get married, even if I never gave it a thought. But that was before the games. Before my fellow tribute, Peter Melmark, announced he was madly in love with me. Our romance became the key strategy for our survival in the arena. Only it just wasn't a strategy for Peter. I'm not sure what it was for me, but I know now it was nothing but painful for Gail. My chest tightens as I think about how, on the victory tour, Pete and I will have to present ourselves as lovers again. I gulp my tea, even though it's too hot, and push back from the table. I better get going.